All right, let's take a look. We're going to take a look at the view park again. We already kind of did it, but I didn't cover it all. Right next to the view, there's the dew garden. Okay, that's watered by the rain of the dew, and it's shaded in the afternoon. So that's a good test garden. On the other side, in the direction of the view, we planted some things. We planted some nopales recently, so there's a small garden over there. But the big kahuna, the big cool park at the view is where I am. This is getting to be really exciting. The acacias are going crazy. The tejocotes are there. We have a cedar circle over here where we planted cedar trees in a circle to have them grow into a big dome. A couple of them died. We need to replant them. There's a lot of work to do of all kinds, but here's one of the cedars. It's pretty big. There's one. There's one. There's one. There's one. Uh-oh. We'll have to go look. No, there's one right there. It's a pretty big circle. A very big circle. And I want to actually plant another layer of cedars because I want to make sure I have enough cedars to give it a pretty full effect. I mean, I'm going to sculpt them so that they don't stick into the room. I'm probably not going to get rid of the parts that grow on the outside, so it'll look like a cedar mound from the outside. And then when we burn the fire in the middle, it's going to burn the ones around it, so it's going to keep a hole open. But the idea is essentially a round hedge right here, a dome hedge. And I think that can be done. We shall see. Right now I'm just letting them grow up, and I'm not going to curve them in until they get to about the height of a person, I think. Because that's the shortest wall I want, and then it'll dome over to wherever it gets to. I'm curious about inside that dome what the differences will be. One of the differences I'm seeking is to block wind. If you're at a fire pit, the wind is annoying because it keeps blowing the wind at you. But the smoke is hot and wants to go up. So if there's no wind, the smoke will go up instead of bothering people. So I think this dome will be wind protected. Maybe not in a big storm, but certainly in a light breeze, so that the smoke goes directly up. The other reason for making the cedar dome is that it's pretty. It feels comfy and cozy. It feels primal to be inside of a place with people in a fire, seeing their faces lit up. We do have electric over there. We could even hook up a light for doing video work, so it could become part of a set. The rest of this park here, the big kahuna, is all oak trees and pine trees and some stuff we put in. Some plants we don't want because they grow too quick. Like most of the acacia, we'll decide where we want acacia and where we don't want it. And we'll get rid of it where we don't. All the haricina goes out. It's too common. It's everywhere else. All the junk in trails comes out. Kill it with no mercy. But if you have a machete in here, you do have to be really careful not to kill plants we want. So you have to be with somebody who knows what plants there are. So right now I'm letting it grow over massively, but we have to get back in and sculpt. I was in here with the machete the other day, clearing plants away from the cedars, for example, so that they have light. We don't want the native plants to suffocate the new ones. There's not that many new ones, but that trail is non-existent. It needs to be cut through. So the park's actually much larger than it seems like, because you don't usually walk through it, you walk around it. But I want to create spaces within it. So the goal is to clear out trails and spaces, and some of them will be dead ends. You can almost see it as a maze, although I don't want to make it tricky. There's a couple principal trails that are already figured out, so those are going to stay. But as far as magic little spots, we need to figure out where those are at. We also need to figure out where nobody ever passes through. And the places where nobody ever passes through are the places we can put things like magueys, cacti, nopales. We can put hedges if needed. We can break it up with hedges. In fact, around the entire perimeter, and I think this is pretty high priority, I want to put a cedar fence, a cedar hedge around the entire thing. Cedar seeds are easy to get. You just pick them off the trees and put the pods in a bag, and then the bag, they open up in the bag and you got your seeds. So I want the planting of thousands, perhaps 8,000 cedar seeds in a 2-meter swath all around the entire thing. Now that means it has to get dug up in that spot, I believe. It's going to be tricky to do. It's going to be a big job. But it's going to be one of my first and most important green walls. I want a hedge a donkey wouldn't go through. Okay? This is an imperfect wall. It's a semi-permeable wall. But it's very natural. It's removable if we want to remove it. And it only really costs labor. There's no physical cost to creating this amazing wall for this really important space. So it's the View Garden Green Wall Project. And if we're, we can put it through the middle too. We can put hedges in the middle as well as the perimeter to delineate spaces. When I talked about making a wall for the volleyball to block it, maybe we should instead plant cedars. They won't show up right away, but if we overplant them and some survive, we'll have a cedar wall right there. I can think of a lot of other places on the mesa actually as I think about cedar walls. There's almost nowhere that I can think of that I wouldn't want a cedar wall nearby. I want to divide up group camping spots. I think the method for planting, well, I'll make another video on that.